Hello, this is Plutonian Perception, and I am Jared Olin Jones, your host, bringing you a alternative perspective from alternative media. Now, a lot of people have lost faith in the mainstream media, and this is an unscripted live stream without much forethought put into it because I feel like my intuition is actually guiding me better than what my rational A to B thought process would be. And I would like to give you some of the trivium about what's going on today. And for those of you that don't know what trivia is, it's the logic and the rhetoric and the words that go with a particular subject. I might have butchered that. However, the point is that we're not taught how to teach, or we're not, oh my God. We're not taught how to think in school. We're taught what to think. We're not taught how to think. We're taught what to think. And you can see this ideology pervade throughout the modern world simply because education has been standardized. It doesn't matter what culture you're in, education is being standardized. The countries that aren't in alignment with the standardized educations are the ones that are subjugated to the globalist, totalitarian, fascist regime. These globalists do exist. Now, I want to ask people a question. Simply think, do you really think that the people that controlled the world in the ancient times have disappeared? Do you think that the martyrers and the plunderers and the assassins and the pirates and the bloodthirsty bankers have just disappeared? Do you think that things are different now? Do you think that there is a benevolent authority looking after the future of mankind? Well, if you're in that camp, you might want to just click off right now because there's no such thing. We're ruled by psychopaths. We're ruled by rapists. We are ruled by pedophiles. We are ruled by the most deviant, cunning, and mentally malformed. You see, and that's the problem with modern language is you really don't have a word to describe what we are facing these days because the English language has been manufactured by the controllers and also subsidized and promoted throughout the modern world. The language of internationalism is English. It's a standardized form of communication. And unfortunately, here in the West, especially here in America, our language is extremely standardized and we don't know any other languages unless we're from another country because they don't teach you language in schools anymore. They don't teach you foreign languages, and foreign languages are very important to understand what is lost in translation. And that is one of the reasons why I decided to speak out today because obviously I was compelled. I had an intuitive inkling to speak out against what the mainstream media is promoting and what is happening on the world scene today. Today, Friday the 13th, has been labeled in the West on Twitter as the day of rage, the day of jihad, because Islamic leaders have or a Islamic leader has declared jihad. And to the uneducated, gun-bearing, constitutional conservatives, the flag-waving nationalists, they've been waiting for this moment since 9/11. They don't understand what jihad is, and they see rage because they have this subconscious need to express the anger that they feel within themselves because they aren't in touch with the reality, but they know that there is something wrong in the deep recesses of their mind. That's why perception is very important, because we don't see with our eyes, we perceive with our minds. That being said, the power of an idea is, well, the most powerful force there is known to mankind, because we are a, quote, intellectual animal. I don't believe in classifying us as animals. We have animistic drives. We are part animal, but we can choose, we can reflect. We have a choice to make every single day, every single moment. We can choose to better ourselves or to worsen ourselves at the expense of our conscience. As much as we have conscience, as much as pardon me, as much as we have the ability to reflect and know the difference between right and wrong, we have that. We have an innate ability to choose between right and wrong. But depending on what culture you're in and what ideas, ideological implants that we have in us, it'll change the way that you think and choose in life. The power of an idea is immeasurable. And that's why the controllers are afraid of an idea. That's why the controllers choose to dominate the airwaves and put all of their money into propaganda to try and change our minds, to try to manipulate and control our minds. And I know I am not a great speaker right now, and I don't have a massive following with tons of influence. So anyone listening to me right now might be put off simply because of that fact. Because consensus is built through popularity. The average person thinks if other people agree with them, then they must be sane, they must be right. And the average person has a barometer, if you will, with the fellows around them. And if most of the people that they're surrounded with agree upon the same thing, they feel comfortable. It's human nature. We are social creatures. Unfortunately, most people don't know how the mind and psychology work and how long that the controllers have been working on our minds and studying us and keeping the knowledge of how to control our minds and the mass mind away from the general knowledge. They should be teaching this stuff in university, how the masses are manipulated, but they tell us it's economics. They tell us that we are here to serve the economy and the monetary system. And that's the power of an idea, because here in the West, everybody works for dollars. They trade their life force, their hours, their attention and time equals their energy. They've literally ate the propaganda, hook, line, and sinker. The idea is so firmly instilled into their mind that there is no possible other reality besides the one that has been presented to them. Time and attention are the most valuable things that we have. That's why we must cultivate our perceptions of reality and realize that the powers that be, these Plutonian, these troglodytes, these behind the scene shadow dwellers, these dark budget bankers, these mind controllers, these dark agencies wield all of the power, and they know more about us than we know about ourselves because we are submitting our data willfully to them day by day. Every exchange that we have online or via text message or via digital media, social media, everything that we do on these digital devices gives them more information. They tell us very, very simply that data is the new gold. It is the most valuable thing there is in this day and age is data. And it always has been. They always have observed us and collected data. They always have been watching us from afar, from behind the scenes. They pretend like they're us. They pretend like they're one of us, but they're really not. They're not. They see themselves differently. They see themselves above us, and they see themselves as people that have the right to rule over the masses because they've maintained power and control thus far for countless aeons, countless ages that we can't imagine or perceive. They've had control. They've installed ideas into our mind throughout history, through cultures rise and fall, societies rise and fall. These are the creators of society and culture. They create a culture, use it to its maximum potential, and then once they're done with a certain agenda, they destroy it. And that is what you're witnessing here in the West. Now, unfortunately, most of the people that I'm trying to reach are unreachable. So this is for the people that are reachable and that can make a difference. And you must use your energy on those that are like-minded. And that is, again, the power of an idea. But unfortunately, most of the people that are being used in this proxy war with Israel and Palestine, yes, that's why I'm here. I'm going to talk about that mainstream thing. It's a sad thing because most people don't have the time or willpower to go and look into what the word jihad actually means. They're just going to take the mainstream translation and say that it is the day of rage. But I'm going to give you a little bit of history and a little bit of facts. And this is coming from someone that actually practiced Islam, which means to submit. This is from Britannica. Islam is a religion. It is a major world religion promulgated by the Prophet Muhammad in Arabia in the 17th century. The term Islam literally means surrender, illuminates the fundamental religious idea of Islam that the believer, called a Muslim, from the active particle of Islam, accepts surrender to the will of Allah. In Arabic, Allah means God. Allah is viewed as the sole God, creator, sustainer, and restorer of the world. And I'm going to add into this creator, sustainer, restorer, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Mother, Father, Child, creator, destroyer, sustainer. It's the triad, the triunity, and it's found through and throughout all religions. There is a trinity. However, That's a side note for people that think. Sustainer and restorer of the world. Again, the will of Allah to which human beings must submit is made known through the sacred scriptures, the Quran, often spelled Quran in English, which Allah revealed to his messenger Muhammad. In Islam, Muhammad is considered the last of a series of prophets, including Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Solomon, and Jesus. His message simultaneously consummates and completes the revelations attributed to earlier prophets. And now this is another side note and an interesting one, and I'm going to add this for you to think. These are Judaic or Judeo religions. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all people of the book, and you could also term it as Abrahamic religions because they all come from Abraham, Noah, Moses, Solomon, Jesus. These are all of the same seed. This is a lineage. These are families that I would postulate that have controlled or created religions throughout history. So, from my point of view, I don't see why these monotheistic people of the book that all descended from the line of Adam would be fighting amongst themselves because it doesn't make sense to me. We're humans. We all used to live in cohabitation peacefully, regardless of our religions, but then psychopaths take control somewhere along the line in history. I'm going to read one more paragraph here because it's a simple one. Two more. Retaining its emphasis on uncompromising monotheism and strict adherence to a certain essential religious practices, the religion taught by Muhammad to a small group of followers spread rapidly throughout the Middle East to Africa, Europe, and the Indian subcontinent, the Malay Peninsula, and China. By the early 21st century, there were more than 1.5 billion Muslims worldwide, although many sectarian movements have arisen within Islam. All Muslims are bound by a common faith and a sense of belonging to a single community. This article deals with the fundamental beliefs and practices of Islam and with the connection of religion and society in the Islamic world. The history of various peoples who embraced Islam is covered in this article, Islamic World, and this is from the Britannica. So why am I telling you this? Because Islam is a way of life for a culture. I just realized that I'm not transcribing this and I'm not recording the audio, I'm just recording the video. So pardon me. This is not the most professional broadcast, so you can see I am authentic. That I really do care because I'm not planning this out, because I'm not making it a script, because I care so much, I want to get it done. And on a side note, I tried really hard to make a good thumbnail, and that is why I am not transcribing this, and that's why I'm not recording the audio. So it's gonna just go up on YouTube, most likely, and not go on to the other platforms. Even though it probably doesn't matter because, well, I know it matters because I care about this and I'm speaking the truth. So here is from history.state.gov, and this is the office of the historian, and it has the seal of the United States of America on it. So I presume that this is a reliable source. And I'm going to just give you a little brief back history of how this nation of Israel was created. And there's more than one way to break that word down, but it literally means God, 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 3 times. So the creation of Israel, 1948. And I'm just going to read the note, maybe, if this is important to you. Milestones of the history of the United States foreign relations has been retired and is no longer maintained. Okay, so you have to click the link for more information. On May 14th, 1948, Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. U.S. President Harry S. Truman recognized the new nation on the same day. And then they show a little picture with, this is an interesting picture, actually. Looks like he's handing, someone is receiving looks like what's a giant vase, a metal vase or something, some kind of weird piece of something that looks like it has Kabbalistic inscriptions all over. To continue, although the United States supported the Balfour Declaration of 1917, which favored the establishment of a Jewish national home in Palestine, President Franklin D. Roosevelt had assured the Arabs in 1949 the United States would not intervene without consulting both the Jews and the Arabs in that region. The British, who led a colonial mandate for Palestine until May 1948, opposed both the creation of a Jewish state and an Arab state in Palestine, as well as unlimited immigration of the Jewish refugees to the region. Great Britain wanted to preserve good relations with the Arabs to protect its vital political and economic interests in Palestine. Soon after President Truman took office, he appointed several experts to study the Palestine issue. In the summer of 1946, Truman established a very special cabinet committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Henry F. Grady, an assistant secretary of the state, who entered into negotiations with a parallel British committee to discuss the future of Palestine. In May 1946, Truman announced his approval of a recommendation to admit 100,000 displaced persons into Palestine, and in October, publicity declared his support for the creation of a Jewish state. Throughout 1947, the United Nations Special Commission on Palestine examined the Palestinian question and recommended the partition of Palestine into a Jewish and Arab state. On November 1929, 1947, the United Nations adopted Resolution 181, also known as the Partition Resolution, that would divide Great Britain's former Palestinian mandate into a Jewish and Arab states in May 1948. When the British mandate was scheduled to end under the resolution, the area of religious significance surrounding Jerusalem would remain a corpus separatum under international control administered by the United Nations. Although the United Nations backed Resolution 181, the U.S. Department of State recommended the creation of a United Nations trusteeship with the limits on Jewish immigration and a division of Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab provinces, but not states. The State Department, concerned about the possibility of an increasing Soviet role in the Arab world and potential for restrictions by Arab oil production nations of oil supplies to the United States, advised against U.S. intervention on behalf of the Jews. Later, as the date for the British departure from Palestine drew near, the Department of State grew concerned about the possibility of an all-out war in Palestine as Arab states threatened to attack almost as soon as the UN passed the partition resolution. Despite growing conflict between Palestinian Arabs and Palestinian Jews, and despite the Department of State's endorsement of a trusteeship, Truman ultimately decided to recognize the state of Israel. So right there, you already see they had contention over 70 years ago, roughly. There was already contention with this creation of this state. So that's what happens when government steps in. So I wanted to also mention the use of the word jihad because they said it was, and this is what they said, the people that control the airwaves in the age of Aquarius, the media, the middleman, the people that control the minds of the masses, the sheep, the people who believe everything they're told on the news, if it resonates with their political ideology, this is what it means. Jihad is a noun. It's a noun that means a struggle or fight against the enemies of Islam. Now, this is a very, very, very fucked up definition because I wanted to get into the etymology of it. However, it's not completely inaccurate. Infidels is a foreigner and jihad is a struggle against, but in the greater religious term, it means struggle or effort. And it's basically a struggle to serve on the behalf of God. So here it is from Arabic. Jihad literally means effort, expressing in Muslim thought. There it is, right there again. The ideology, the thought, the power of thoughts and thinking are what dominate our society. And they can literally inject ideas into peoples and cultures. And that is the power of thought and why you must guard your mind. Well, it's going to be a short one today. I have said what I mean to say, and I don't have all the answers, and I'm not always right. And the one thing that I know is that I don't know nothing and I haven't seen anything yet. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. I'm Jared Olin Jones. Good night.